Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to the studio. So my my stream app totally changed everything today. So if I look a little bewildered, that's why. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about something very important about our craft, and that's using the right words, using strong words that really connect with your readers. Um, so when you look at power words, and I'm going to give you a link to download a list that you can use and refer to whenever you need it. So hang in there and we'll get to all that. So we're going to transform your novel from plain to vivid with captivating language. Strong words bring your story to life. You know, as a novelist, uh, we're storytellers and character creators, right? And our medium is words. That's what we use. So, just as a painter practices brushstrokes to refine an image, we can use strong words to refine our language. When you use very specific words, you help your reader envision your story. It really helps. All right. So when you're in the flow of writing, it's not the best time to concentrate on your words. But when you finish that first draft, then you can check your manuscript for word usage. So let's look at first some of the words that you want to check. And most writing software you can do a find, and so this will help you go through your manuscript and find these words that you want to change to stronger words, and there's quite a few of them. But as you become accustomed to your writing, you'll notice that particularly you use certain weak verbs repeatedly, and those are the ones that you want to check for your mon- for your manuscript. Um, so the words are verbs that, what's the word? This is going to sound strange because I can't think of a better word. Here we are talking about words. Um, that express a state of being without pulling the reader in. So, you ready? I'm just going to read you a few of these, because these are the ones that you want to check in your manuscript. Is, am, are, these are all to be verbs, right? Was, were, and then be, being, been, have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, lots of conditional verbs there, and can and could. So you won't replace all these verbs, but you want to search through your manuscript and see if you can replace them with more specific verbs. So let me give you an example of how this works. So Lucas was walking down the boardwalk. Okay. Um, Stronger is Lucas strode down the boardwalk. You see the difference in the feeling and the image that creates in your mind from was walking to strode. You have a sense of how he is walking. So it's much more specific. So another one is Lila was a lover of old master paintings. Stronger is Lila treasured old master paintings. And we don't know at this point in the story, in our imaginary story, we don't know if she treasured them literally or emotionally, but I'm sure we'll find out in this story. But treasured has a much more powerful emotional resonance for your reader than loved. Um, well, was a lover. I So another example is there are 3 actions you do that make me feel the way I do. This is something a character might say in dialogue. All right. The character is really determined, and the character says, 3 actions convince me we should separate. Ooh, whoa. Okay. There's something for the other character to think about. So, do you see how using stronger verbs convince um, rather than there are 3 actions um, just gives you a lot more punch, right? So another way that your language can be weak in your story is verbs propped up by adverbs. So strong verbs describe the action, all right? They don't need adverbs to tell the reader how the action is performed. And it's the same way we use with, for instance, strode. He strode down the boardwalk. We already have a sense and a vision of how that character is moving. So the more specific your verb, the stronger the image. So let's look again at some examples. Um, George ran quickly over the forest floor. Okay, he ran with an adverb quickly. All right. Stronger is George dashed over the forest floor. Well, he is zooming, right? and and then once again, an example of a weak way of saying it. Flo looked menacingly at Liz. One strong verb. Flo glared at Liz. Okay, another example. Jeff secretly listened behind the door. What's a word for secretly listening? Jeff eavesdropped behind the door. Okay, so you want to um, for your search for find, if you just put in ly for finding adverbs, you're going to get a lot of extra searches. But because ly comes at the end of an adverb, you can search ly space. And then you'll still get some words that aren't applicable, but you're going to find those adverbs in your manuscript. All right. And then something else that I see a lot, that where you can use strong verb in the place of it are gerunds, those ing verbs. So gerunds soften the impact. I know I was in a writing workshop and somebody in our group had like 10 gerunds on one page. So, if you want to make your writing more impactful, you can look for those ing endings and see if you can make them stronger. So let's look at some examples. Gerard was walking on the Champs-Élysées. Gerard walked, but it's kind of a boring word, so let's try Gerard strolled on the Champs-Élysées. Stroll is stronger because it contains an image of his gait as he walked. It's much stronger. Strolling is much stronger than walking. So if you say he strolled in place of was walking, same thing, all right? Um, Another example, the suspects were gathering in the mansion terrace. Hey, you don't need gathering. The suspects gathered on the mansion terrace. That's all you need. All right. Another example, Marcy was loving her track to the villain. And the same thing, just replace the gerund with a verb. Marcy loved her track to the villain. Not all gerunds are bad, but you just want to check them and minimize their use. Uh, for example, Marcy loved calling out the villain. So just Marcy called out the villain. All right. So the same thing you can do in your find and in your search is you can type ing and a space. So that will help you isolate the gerunds in your manuscript. So the reason this is all so important is because specifics create an image in your reader's mind. And just like our very first example of walk and strode, you have strode has a creates an image in your mind of how this person is proceeding. All right. So specifics like stroll or lumber or trot increase your reader's engagement because they help formulate that image. And the image brings your reader into the story, something we always want. We want the reader to be inside our story and totally engaged, right? Uh, and when someone reads walk, they understand your character went on foot from one place to another, right? But the more specific verbs tells how they went, and each specific verb, stroll, lumber, trot, creates a vivid image in your reader's mind. So I have on my here. Let me see if I can play with this a minute. There we go. I have on my website a page with a list of strong verbs you can use, and up at the top you can click and download that list and you'll have it forever for you to use when you're going through your manuscript looking to change the word walk, for instance, to something a little bit stronger. Okay, I'll leave that up for a minute. So you can go there and grab that list of strong verbs. And I'm going to take this down. And you can use specific nouns in the same way that we just looked at how specific verbs strengthen your reader's engagement. You can get your reader to go deeper into your story with specific nouns, and they help your reader visualize the story as well. Because nouns can get lost in a sea of adjectives as you try to describe them, all right? So it's better to use the best noun. So beginning writers often try to explain details rather than specifics to get to the point. So explaining is telling, not showing. And it's a short version of that. So you can show with very specific words, and also you can trust your readers. They don't need explanations. They just need you to use the right words to help them engage and get into the story. All right. So I love this quote from speech therapist David Kanane. He inserted vigorously a strong wooden post with a point at one end into the pale corpse that is supposed to leave its grave at night to drink the blood, living by biting their necks with long pointed canine teeth. One way to describe it. Or he stabbed the vampire with a stake. And do you see how much more impactful that is? You don't need those long explanations. You don't need all those adjectives and supportive clauses. You just want to get to the meat of the action. um, all right. I hope that helps you understand. So you want to use the power of specific words. Just like that vampire steak, specificity grabs your reader's attention and creates an emotional response. And the more specific your words, the stronger your reader's response. So let's look at some more examples. All right. Drake headed toward the suspect's home. Drake headed toward the suspect's lair, hovel, cottage. What kind of home does that suspect live in? What just give us a hint. Give your reader a hint. What kind of experience is Drake headed toward? Um, because a lair is going to give one kind of sense for your reader. A hovel is going to give another sense to your reader. And a cottage is going to give another sense to your reader. So those specific nouns really enliven your text. All right. Um, so we have lair, hovel, cottage, rancho, apartment house, country residence, suburban townhouse. Each one of those uh, creates a vivid picture in your reader's mind, and the specific tells the reader about that suspect. We know something about that suspect just from the place that he lives, whereas home doesn't tell us much of anything about that suspect. Okay, so go for the power of words. These brief examples here um, will help you get the idea of how this works. Um, But as you look for specific nouns and verbs, be careful. You don't want to overdo it with elaborate or obscure words often found in a thesaurus. Don't do that. But be specific, but not obtuse. That's the way I like to say it. Be specific, but not obtuse. One useful tool for writers at the word stage of editings is Rodale's The Synonym Finder. My gosh, I have had that book for, well, I don't know, since the 70s. It's still in print, and it's just wonderful. It'll give you ideas that don't feel so thesaurus-y for specific verbs. So don't forget your strong verb list. You can go to the link and grab your verbs, and then use that list as you're going through your manuscript to tighten up things like gerunds or verbs with adverbs when you can use a strong verb instead. Um, so download the PDF and make word choice a primary editing task, and you'll tell the same story, but better. Right? Okay, thanks so much for being here today, and I hope that helped. Um, I'm so glad you're in the writer's studio. And don't forget, you can um, post your questions in the comments. All right. Thanks. Bye.